How's it going, everyone? It's Wednesday and the market continues its rally, especially tech stocks. We have seen an incredible run here since early April, and with the easing tariffs and trade relations getting a little bit better, the future does look bright at the current moment, and sentiment has really shifted. I'm putting up here on the screen the CNN Fear and Greed Index. We can see that at one point in April and late March was at a 4 for extreme fear. And now we can see that we're all the way in the greed, in the green. So sentiment can shift so quickly. So today I actually have quite a few tickers I want to cover. I want to cover them a little bit quicker than usual. I'm going to cover Nvidia, SOUN, Google, AMD, ACHR and D-Wave and Rigetti, but we're going to do kind of a quick in and out on all of those. So we got a lot of stocks to cover. I'm going to cover a little bit of the news as well. In fact, let's just take a quick look at the stock heat map. So we see that Nvidia has had an insane 4.16% day. So we're going to look at the chart, and Google had a 4% day, and Google and Nvidia are some of my favorite Mag 7 right now. And I can go into that a little bit as well. Tesla had a 4% day. We're going to take a look also at quantum. So Rigetti had a massive 18% day. QBTS, D-Wave sitting around 3% gain on the day. LAES had a nice pop, and quantum as a theme did very well with Intel and Skywater giving back some previous gains. Now, this gain with Rigetti, I do want to point out that they were down 15% yesterday, so this kind of just got them back to their pre-earnings level. But we'll go into that and more in the price analysis. So I've got this article pulled up here, and it's one about Nvidia, and Nvidia stock extends gains as Saudi Arabia is set to spend billions on AI chips. The US moves to rescind Biden's chip curve. So Nvidia, we know, has been hit a number of times with DeepSeek and chip curbs and just competition in the space. So we're now in a spot where Nvidia is starting to recover, and we'll look at the price. So let's start with Nvidia. So we see this huge explosion of volume at the end of the day. And I want to go back 3 months just to show you how stretched Nvidia got to the downside. So at one point, you could pick up on April 7th, you could pick up shares of Nvidia for $87 a share. And we are back to 135. And if we look at the extended trading hours, we're actually trading even a little bit higher. We're almost to 136. I want to show the sort of the reversal that's happened here. So we're going to look at 6 months. And we know that Nvidia has given us some really solid earnings. And Nvidia is one of those that tends to sell off after earnings. So really the highs for Nvidia, if we look back even 5 years, are about 150. But we're kind of hanging in, we're kind of starting to get back into that territory. You can really clearly see in this chart that there is a significant amount of resistance coming up here at this 140 level. So could we see Nvidia continue this move upwards? And could we see it retest its all-time highs, which would be around 153? And to me, at this point in time, with the deals that Nvidia may be getting and the new market in the Middle East, Nvidia is looking incredibly bullish. So if we look at the 5-day chart, we're gapping up literally every day. We can even measure this move from last Friday. We've gone up 16%. So Rigetti just reported earnings, and the earnings weren't good. That's the bottom line. But we've seen that Rigetti, even after missing on earnings, has sometimes rallied. And we talked about this previously, but we saw some sell-off. If we look at the 5-day chart. So we see that earnings, and then there was this big gap down, and we ended the day down below 10. And then today we gap up a little bit, and on a lot of volume, we're seeing this rally building. Now, there's a lot of green volume here, and I always kind of point this out because I think it's really important to pay attention to the volume to get an idea of what is going on with the stock. So, and on the relative strength index, we closed kind of in the middle here. So it's a little bit unclear to me. I want to point out again, if we look at the 6-month chart, that this level here, this 1150 level, has been a significant area of resistance for Rigetti in the past. And it does look like Rigetti wants to get over that 1150 level, and it actually closed above the 1150 level. And these things do matter from it, because a lot of traders and investors are looking at these things. So we know that closing above this 1150 from a technical standpoint actually does have some significance for the Rigetti trade. So if we look back at Rigetti, so we're getting out of this channel, and we have this area here where Rigetti traded between $12 and $16 for quite a while. And we know Rigetti's all-time high is 21. So I do see some potential with Rigetti. It actually has broken my 1150 level. So I'm bullish on Rigetti in the short term, just purely from a stock standpoint. Does it have any major catalyst? Is Rigetti going to make report $1 billion quarterly next time? Heck no. But they are a candidate for the quantum benchmarking initiative, and there are some significant legislation that's sitting out there right now in the ether that has bipartisan support. And when those get approved, that's going to be a lot of money for quantum companies. All right, so let's look at SoundHound. And SoundHound has been on quite a run. So this is all we really need to look at, is this 1-month chart. And that kind of tells the story. SoundHound was just hanging out under this $10 price point back in April. The price was pushed all the way down into the high 6s in the peak of that kind of bear market. And then we have this $9 support and this $10 resistance. And then we see this explosion above, and we see that we're having a pretty significant bullish reversal at this point in time. So how I'm playing it is I've picked up just 5 in the money call contracts expiring 6/13. What I'm wanting to do with those contracts is I want to follow SOUN into this range where it's shown that it likes to be before. I don't even care if it gets all the way up to its all-time highs, which was in the 18 to 24s. I just wouldn't mind if we see something like this, and we just kind of hang out in the 1260 to 1790 range would be really good. And SOUN's earnings were good. They are growing revenue year over year, and the growth story is intact here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what SOUN can do in this rally. And once again, for those who are paying close attention to detail, there is more volume coming in. So we ended a little overextended on the RSI today. So that means that potentially there may be more selling, but we'll see. This is a very bullish indication at this point in time. All right, Google. I am really, really bullish on Google right now. And I'll tell you why, because Google was the first to make this Google Willow, their quantum chip. And I have in the charts here, they started this quantum frenzy and this quantum rally. So we actually saw this gap up and this excitement from investors. And then from this point forward, Google traded at 182 to 201. So it actually broke 200 in our bull market last winter, but it rejected off of 200 a number of times. And it was looking for more than 200. And then the sell-off and the pain began. The NASDAQ dropped 25% in a very major and painful correction. So if we just look at it from, okay, Google just reported earnings. They beat on earnings. Their revenue's insane. They have all these businesses. They have Waymo, they have YouTube, they have search, they have ads, quantum, of course. And we still have on the Google trade 21% upside. So my buy zone for Google, and I have been adding shares, my buy zone for Google is anywhere under about 170, even 175. I wouldn't mind adding to Google. And I do expect Google to continue its rally. If we look at the 5-day, Google has been pushed down to 152. It was there was some major sell-off when there was some concern from investors about AI search on Apple devices and that taking away. But you can see already that we've recovered. And now we're going to be looking to push past and start to get into some new territory. So I could see Google very easily by this time next week being somewhere between 170 or 180. And if the macro continues to stay as positive for tech as it's been, then in a base case, I see something like this. So just hanging around under 182. Now, in a bull case, I could see it using 182 as support and it quickly looking to retest the all-time highs. And in a bear case, or if macro shifts, it could struggle to hold 170, reject off 170, and work its way down. All right, let's take a look at AMD. So this is my first time covering AMD on this channel, and AMD has been known as advanced money destroyer for a long time. So there's a super big disclaimer going into this. We're going to go peak to trough here. Peak to trough, if you were one of the unlucky few who bought AMD in March of 2024, you have seen your investment go down 65% from $220 a share all the way to $80 a share. If we go back 5 years, we see that AMD has had in the past very nice structure, but very brutal pullback. So if we look at this move here from the top to the bottom, we see a 67% move. So from a technical standpoint, if we look that far back, we are a rising support, and we've called a few rising supports for SOUN. We called it for QBTS. There has been violent bounces off of rising supports lately in the market. And that's what we're starting to see with AMD. So now we're going to look at this from more of a positive point of view. So if AMD can continue its trend, let's say it makes it back to this level, that's a 40% increase, 51% increase. If it retests all-time highs, there's 85% upside. So how has it been trading this week? Well, it's been gapping up and it's been trading a lot like big tech. And you're probably wondering, why should I invest in AMD? Well, why do I invest in AMD? There's a couple of reasons. One, I believe in the CEO. I believe her name is Lisa Su. She's really smart. Two is AMD. I don't think the AI chips are a winner-take-all, zero-sum game. I think that there's plenty of demand in AI data centers for both AMD and Nvidia. And I'm okay owning a lot of Nvidia and some AMD because I know both of these companies are going to make money because I know that AI and the demand for the hardware isn't slowing down. And from a technical standpoint, if you're really looking to potentially get into a stock that has a lot of potential upwards momentum and growth potential, that would be more AMD. Nvidia will need to crush its all-time highs for it to have the potential return here. Now, just to lay out a few cases, we are coming up on a 130 that has acted as resistance before. So we're going to just draw a line there. So in a bear case, we would bounce and then come back down and maybe just move along this rising support. In a bullish case, we would come up, probably bounce here, and we're going to work our way up over time. Okay, this is going to be weeks and weeks, but for it to get up here, we're going to need to see more of the story in the financials, good quarterlies, and that type of thing. So AMD, keep on your watch list. I think this is a very positive sign for AMD, and they did have some news today as well. And then we also saw that AMD announced $6 billion in share buyback program. And when a company does that, they're saying, we think our stock is undervalued. We want to add more value to existing shareholders, and we want to buy our stock at this price because we think that it's worth more than this. So AMD, congratulations to those who hold AMD. Definitely had a good day. And I think that we may definitely be in a level of a bullish reversal. Okay, so ACHR. What is going on with ACHR? So we've talked about ACHR a few times lately, and we know that it's coming up on this critical test here at this 1184, and we actually closed at 1184, and then we know that 1236. If we go all the way back to all time, we know that the ultimate test will be for ACHR to surpass its all-time highs. But from a technical standpoint, we bounced violently off of support, and we're in a super bullish reversal. And I would love to see ACHR break through its previous highs and use it as support going forward. Today was, so there was choppy action for ACHR today, but still that bullish uptrend is intact, and ACHR had a 6% day after lots and lots of gain. So you can pretty clearly see that, would I be buying ACHR at this point? Probably not. I think that the risk reward is pretty, there's more risk at this point to buying, but we also know that there's a lot of good news coming up for ACHR. Like, they're going to start shipping these airplanes, and we're going to be seeing these airplanes flying around. And when people see electric vertical takeoff, cool looking airplanes in the air, they're going to go and buy the stock because they're excited about it. It's just that simple. So we don't have to make it too complicated. Did I expect it to be at 1184 already? No. They did beat on their earnings slightly. They did miss on their revenue. They don't have revenue at this point in time, but the potential for ACHR is amazing. All right, we're going to close shop today. We're going to take a look at QBTS. And QBTS it's doing kind of what I thought it would do. And I zoom out and I look to the left, because what we've seen really at this point in time is we've seen this rejection and consolidation. Then we had the quantum crash. Then we see this rally, consolidation, and Trump and tariff crash. Then we see the earnings, the blowout. We got our volume, and we've seen kind of this. So I've been expecting and waiting for a move down to 937. Why 937? Because in our on our way up, we actually bumped our head on 937 quite a few times. And then we started using it as support. And if we zoom out even further, we see that 937 has come into play multiple times in the past. So I'm looking at D-Wave, their new floor. So in a bearish case, when macro gets poor, or if it does get poor, I could see it coming down. Do I see it coming below 937 in the near term based on recent price action? That's hard to say. I don't see that happening. Now, is there a bull case for D-Wave testing its all-time highs and breaking through? Well, let's look at the all-time chart. So we do still have one more level of resistance, which would be 1329. So for those of you who want to see that happen, which would include me, then what you would likely see is a rejection at 1328 and then potentially some hanging around in this channel. So that would be a bull case for D-Wave. My current, you know what? I'm not sure. The stock has surprised me a little bit. The market in general, like tech, has been just so bullish after all the sell-off and all of the negativity in the market for like 7 weeks. Now there's just excitement again in the market. It's very fun. It's fun to see all these growth in tech stocks do really well. And tech is really valuable. Like quantum obviously is a future tech. And in some cases like D-Wave, who uses quantum annealing, a current tech that has commercial value. But tech in general is so fun to follow and so fun to invest in, because all these companies are really doing incredible things. Like in my lifetime, I've moved an antenna around on a TV to get signal, and I haven't had a cell phone because they didn't exist. Like we're seeing so much change in just a couple of decades in tech, and it's very exciting. So I have a very bullish outlook. I know you all are surprised that I would have a bullish outlook on something. It's not in the name of my channel or anything, but for tech in general, I'm actually kind of at this point wondering what is going to slow the market down. And we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. We're going to get thrown curveballs, and this market's going to be topsy-turvy. Very bullish. Lots of great companies. The stocks are looking good. So do your own research. Don't just blindly follow or say, okay, I'm going to do exactly this because Majid said so. Do your own research. And if you found this content valuable, please consider leaving a like or subscribe. Hope you guys have a great day in the market tomorrow.